You're listening to the UAE's #1 talk radio station.
This is Afternoons with Helen Farmar.
On Dubai Eye 103.8.
Today, really excited to introduce you to our guest. Janine Sudbury is with us, a renowned leadership coach with a few decades of experience in the field. She's pioneered a really unique approach to leadership development by incorporating, wait for it, and I didn't get a sound effect done in time, horses into those workshops. She's worked with some really high-profile figures such as Silver Fern Coach, All Black Coach as well, Steve Hansen, and numerous high-level CEOs. And she's here in Dubai working in particular with Dubai's female CEOs, talking about this method, offering something different, but offering some wisdom to us on the show as well today. Janine, how are you?
I am fine and dandy, thank you. It's wonderful to be back. I used to work at the BBC and radio and national radio in New Zealand. And, this is really my happy place behind the microphone.
No microphone tutoring needed for you, which is what we often do. We sit here and, come a bit closer, because what we find quite a lot, if someone's a bit nervous in the studio, the natural reaction is to go and move themselves back from the microphone. So I'm happy that you're here, and I'm happy you're at ease here. And great to have you in the city as well.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your history with Dubai. How many times have you been, and how do you feel like your perception of the city has changed over the years?
Well, I've only actually been once, and that was in December. And I think it's the start of a love story, to be honest.
Wow.
I came to Dubai and I thought, okay, now I know why everyone is raving about this place. It was fabulous.
And I think the female aspect is particularly pertinent. I mean, you're plugged in with the Female Fusion Group, and some of the stories of, entrepreneurship, leadership, success, struggles that people are sharing are just incredible. So I think that's what I want to kind of talk today about, in particular about this idea of leadership, and maybe how the concept and even our perception of that word has changed in the last, you've been working in this for 20 years now, Janine. Tell us a little bit about what that word means to you.
Well, when I first started doing leadership programs, I wasn't really sure. And even now, I think everybody's perception of what leadership means is different. So I have developed this unique training program. It's a 14-week program, and it starts, as you mentioned earlier, starts with 2 days with the horses.
Why?
Why? Exactly why? Well, loads of good reasons why horses, and why not say dogs or goldfish or whatever. So the reason I love to use horses is because they're so honest. They give you really blunt and immediate feedback on your leadership style. And the reason they can do this is because they're herd animals, and they're always looking for a leader, but they won't just follow anyone. You have to be sending out all the right body messages. You have to be authentic. In the words of that great thought leader, Ali G, you've got to keep it real.
And the horses.
And the horses, that's right.
They
and
can
the horses
see through
know.
it.
They know when you're faking. And so they're giving you this feedback, and then you can sort of make the necessary changes in real time.
But isn't that interesting that there is this idea of what a leader should be, of this very kind of stereotypical, often male, persona.
Yeah.
And sometimes men take on that persona as well, because they feel like it's being projected onto them. And then often trying to be a leader in a way that feels authentic to you is a real barrier, because it's like, well, this wasn't what I wasn't raised to think of myself as a leader, or how a more feminine leadership style can be really effective.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely the point that so many of my female leaders asked me. How do we bring ourselves to work? One said, look, I cry when I'm stressed. What do I do? And I said, you know what? Don't try and copy anyone else. It's all about bringing you to work. And if you're going to have a cry, just say, please excuse me for a moment. I'm feeling emotional. Have your cry in the toilet, then come back. But don't try and copy someone else. It literally just doesn't work.
And it's exhausting. Better to be a first-rate version of yourself than a second-rate version of someone else. I, for what it's worth, I cry with, and it's something I thought, I'm in my 40s now, I thought that when I would get to a certain age, maturity, that when I didn't feel frustrated or slighted, that I would be able to kind of keep it cool. But no, it just seems to be, and it's so frustrating. Then I feel like it completely underwhelms whatever point I'm trying to make, professionally or personally, especially with my husband as well. And I'm like, oh no, he's got the upper hand here because I've just cried. But it's me, it's who I am. It's how I, connect with people. And, So let's come back to this. Let's come back to the leadership piece, because what are some of the common challenges that people are coming to you with saying, I'm in a role or I've started a company and it's not clicking for me. What are the pain points that women in particular are coming to you with, Janine?
Well, certainly with women. I mean, women are so wonderful to work with. They're so empathetic. That is our strength as women. However, the barriers to success for many women that I work with is people-pleasing syndrome. Mm-hmm. The inability to really stick to your values and standards because you're afraid, really. You're fearful of not being liked or not having approval or being told you're bossy or aggressive. That is a real problem. And another problem that I find in, I would say, sort of 100% of the women actually is imposter syndrome.
For anyone who's not familiar with that syndrome, and let me tell you, I very much am. How do you describe what that is and what can that look like in how you're feeling and even behaviours that you might be kind of exhibiting?
It's very common in perfectionists and it exhibits in people thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be found out soon. Somebody's going to clock me for not really belonging here. I don't deserve this success. It's all those sort of little voices going through your head. And there's lots of really good ways of overcoming imposter syndrome.
Tell me them all.
Well, one of them is to work with a horse. You can't have imposter syndrome when you're working with a horse.
Didn't even bring one to the studio,
I'm sorry.
Janine.
I could have brought a pantomime horse, but I thought your listeners might not understand what was going on.
Could have done a Facebook Live. But we're going to talk more a little bit about bringing your authentic self to work next.
This is Afternoons with Helen Farmar.
On Dubai Eye 103.8, the UAE's #1 talk radio station.
We are talking about what horses can teach you that humans can't with Janine Sudbury today. She's a leadership coach with over 25 years experience. She's built her own successful businesses, has overcome self-doubt to pursue opportunities and now inspire other people in a very unique way. Let's talk more about the horses. And I'm asking you in a kind of, please demystify this for me, Janine. You said it's a 14-week program that you're doing. You're running sessions here in Dubai over the next few days, and you're going to be back in December for more leadership coaching. With the horses, I'm just trying to picture it. What happens? Can you literally just talk it out for me?
It's like a dating app for horses. So I can only take 10 leaders at one time for 2 days. Now this is not a Mickey Mouse tree huggy exercise. This is the real deal. This is the toughest leadership program you can ever go on. That's why it gets the results. It's transformational. And I matchmake human and horse. And then what happens is the human has to learn how to lead the horse. And the horse is thinking, hang on a minute, I'm not going to follow you. And they have to do some very simple looking exercise. At least I make it look simple. Mm-hmm. Now, if you employ 7 principles of the horse whisperer, those are my principles. If you employ them, and they're quite simple principles, but people often think they understand how to build, for example, good relationships. But until they're faced with a horse and they have to build a relationship quickly to get the horse to follow them, that's how they really get an in-depth understanding of what these 7 leadership principles really mean in action. And I think this is the key. This is about acting leadership. This is not a simulation. This is not a role play. This is the real deal. If you don't get that horse to follow you, it all looks a bit embarrassing. It's very, very confronting. And to make matters worse, I'm videoing this. And we have 3 video analysis sessions. And if you think the horses are blunt, you haven't met me yet.
Do you have people that have come in and they've read all the leadership books and they are playing a role?
Yeah.
And
oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So I've had people, for example, I've had the head of the Dressage New Zealand Olympic coach come and do it. I've had top horse people. I've had people who've been to every leadership program in Australasia. They're no better. Mm-hmm. This is really something so out of the box. And this is where true leadership takes root.
Let's go to the text line. A message here from Eugenia who says she's really intrigued about a day with you tomorrow. So that's going to be interesting.
I'm looking forward to meeting you.
And Ritwick saying, lovely topic, leadership and its many nuances. Key one for me, leadership starts with listening. And by that, I mean actual active listening. From that leads to a better people management and a better workplace. You're nodding along.
Yeah, I am, because, you just spoiled one of my principles there.
Tell
one
us.
of them is communication. And, people think communication is about you telling other people stuff. It's not actually. It's about, as you were correctly announced there, it's about listening, and it's about making sure you've been understood. And as I mentioned, relationships is key, and relationships impact on how you present that information and how you've made sure you've been understood. And with the horses, it's really easy because they blink their eyes and they lick their lips and they might lower their head and they might even sigh. So we can very quickly tell if we've been understood when working with the horse. So what we've got to do is transfer those skills to humans. How do we make sure we've been understood? And that's something that we explore over the course of the 2 days.
Can I ask about limiting beliefs? And I'm talking about women in particular because you were touching on imposter syndrome. Someone who has found themselves in the leadership role, perhaps it's never been the ambition to be there, but work has taken it that way, or as we've seen, and thankfully because of, licensing and visas here in the UAE post-pandemic, people starting their own businesses, and maybe they've been more successful than they'd imagined, but they've got this nagging voice of, I'm not good at that. CEO doesn't feel like a hat I want to wear. How do you help people overcome that?
I think you help them, or how I help them is by when they go through the process with the horse, they realise that they can do really, really difficult things that they never, ever thought at the start of the 2 days they would be able to do. In fact, if I spoke to another horse trainer and said, look, I take this bunch of people who may be scared of horses or never dealt with a horse, and by the end of it, they're taking them over these really challenging obstacles, it would be poo-pooed. I'd be accused of lying. So firstly, it's about taking yourself out of your comfort zone, releasing yourself from fear, because it's the fear that holds so many women back. Now, if you can overcome the fear, you can do anything at all. There are also, by the way, some good hacks on overcoming imposter syndrome if you can't come with me on the 2-day horse program. And those are things like keep a success diary. Everything you do that is really cool and you're really proud of, write it down. And when you're having one of those low moments, have a look and think, actually, no, I did win that contract and so did send me, some business and I did this really well.
Janine, I love that so much.
Do you?
I really do.
Do you have one?
No, of course I don't. I have a gratitude journal. At the end of it every day, I write 3 great things that happened. And that can literally be getting a good parking space, or it could be, something professionally, or connection time with my kids, or, whatever it might be. But writing on a Post-it or sticking it in a jar or something, because we are, and I say we, and I know an awful lot of people are who are also busy, we're so quick to push past and rush past our accomplishments. It's always about what's next. Okay, great, I did that, but it wasn't good enough. Or, my eyes are focused on the next milestone, prize, goal. And we do have down days, and sometimes we do kind of lose sight of what we have accomplished, whether that is in a short time or a long time. I think so many of us can think back to 5 years and go, God, I'd never thought I'd be here in 5 years' time. And we don't give ourselves enough credit, really.
No, I don't. I think that's true. And I think, much kudos to all those people who've taken the risk to go and start their own business.
I would say kudos to anyone who's found themselves in a forest. Using the UAE as an example, I've got so many friends here and they get hate from their friends back home going, oh, you're so lucky to live in Dubai. It's like, no, I took a risk. We took a risk to move here at 24 or 44, whatever that might be, to move to another country, to take a job, to build a life. And that takes guts. And we often don't give ourselves credit for that either. And
courage is such a key word as a leader. And women men and women who do that, who leave the comforts and the security of family to start a new adventure, it does take courage. And to be a good leader, you need loads and loads of courage.
Would you mind just quickly recapping your 7 principles of leadership? I know we're going to run out of time, and I've got people asking for where people can find out more about you.
Okay,
and I will share that in a minute.
Lovely. Well, I'm not going to tell you 7 because I don't want to give it all away, but I will tell you 2. Now, the first one is the foundational principle of build relationships, learn how to build relationships quickly. And I can tell you how to do that. Not now, but I can tell you another time. And another one that's really, really important, especially for women, is your physical presence. It's something you might never have thought of. It's how you present yourself. What does your body say? Do you slouch into a room? Is your body looking small? Do you look at the ground? Do you smile? There's so many easy hacks you can do to create an amazing first impression so that when you walk into that room, people are sitting up and thinking, wow, I want to get to know that person. And I do this quite a lot with a lot of women, and it's such an easy, quick thing that you can just practice at home in the mirror.
It would be a great thing to teach teenage girls as well.
Oh, definitely.
That's when it
and
starts.
And teenage boys, actually, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Bit more eye contact.
Yes, a lot of eye contact.
From all of us.
Maybe even the odd smile that goes out to my son.
Mother of a teenager in the studio. Janine, we run out of time. Thank you so much. For people that are reaching out about the courses, about you, what's the best thing that I can share? And I will do that happily.
Yes, well, why don't you connect with me on LinkedIn? Janine Sudbury, Sudbury. My company, Impact Leadership. I'm based in New Zealand. I would love to connect with all you lot, or anybody who's interested.
And you're coming back in December?
I'm coming back in December. I'm running a 2-day experiential workshop with the horses. I have 10 places. So if you're interested, get in touch with me and we can have a chat. And can I also say, if it's easier for you, please contact me through Female Fusion, because they're doing a great job of connecting me with entrepreneurs out here.
And you know what? To the women out there who are starting a business, looking to start a business, need advice, need support, it is an incredible network of warmth and experience. So, yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Female Fusion. Janine Sudbury, thank you so much for your time.